Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Golden Years, a show which is dedicated to inform our senior community. My name is William Mendoza, and today we have a special guest with us, Choices Regional Coordinator of the North Central Area Agency on Aging, Urania M. Reyes Rivera. Welcome, Urania. ¿Cómo estamos?
Oh, hi. How are you? I'm
Good,
doing
good,
well.
good,
Yourself?
good. Thank you for coming. You work for an agency that is spread out throughout the state of Connecticut, but basically you handle, which is the greater Hartford area?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Well, our agency is the North Central Area Agency on Aging. In the state of Connecticut, there's 5 agencies on aging. So there's the Eastern Connecticut Agency on Aging, the Southwestern Agency on Aging, the Western Connecticut Agency on Aging, and Senior Resources Agency on Aging. We do cover the entire state of Connecticut, and each agency on aging pretty much provide the same services for the elderly and the disabled population. Our mainly coverage area is the Hartford area and surrounding towns. We have a total of 37 towns that we covered. We also have one town in the Litchfield County, and we also have in the Tolland County. We do provide assistance to individuals, and we try to connect them with the proper agencies and the proper programs in the community that might assist whatever needs they have.
So are you strictly just a referral type agency, or you're working hand in hand with the state to run some of their programs?
Well, we are a nonprofit, so some of our funding comes through the state and the federal government. We work in partnership with the state of Connecticut. Our agency has different departments, so some departments do case management, some departments just do information referral. For example, Choices. We do information referral for Medicare beneficiaries on their Medicare options and Medicaid options, and we assist them with anything that has to do with the healthcare options. We have a program within the agency that is the caregiver program. The caregiver program is a program that it's state funded and federal funded that provides individuals the ability to get in-home services for the person that they're taking care of. So it's called caregiver because, you know, as we know, caregivers are taking care of sometimes a family member, sometimes their spouse, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So they need a little bit of support. So our agency provides that. That program is a little bit in combination with a little bit of case management. You will have somebody that will assist you. We provide the funding for you to be able to have an aide come into your house to assist you with that in the time being that the caregiver wants to do some shopping or wants to go pick up prescriptions and wants to make sure that the elderly individual, disabled individual is taken care of. We have another program that is called Community Choices. It's similar to the Choices, but that one provides a little bit of more ongoing case management. So when we get a phone call, usually all the phone calls come in through Choices. When we determine that at some point an individual might need a little bit more than just information and referral, that just a little bit more of explanation, and that they cannot on their own contact the proper agencies that we refer them to, or that it becomes so overwhelming for them that they cannot do it on their own, we will refer them to Community Choices, and the case manager will do that for them.
Urania, let me ask you, in terms of how do you guys get your referrals? Are you intertwined with the senior centers in the state of Connecticut?
Well, we kind of are. Most of our referrals come from different partner agencies, not only the senior centers. We get a lot of referrals from healthcare advocates offices. We get from the state directly, from DSS, from Social Security. So a lot of community partner organizations that work with elderly and disabled, the majority of them have knowledge about our program and our agency. So a lot of the people that we serve come through those type of referrals.
Excellent. So let me ask you, you know, certain people have Medicare, but are not on Medicaid because they're overqualified financially, or, you know, they own property or whatever. And some people are on Medicaid and don't have Medicare because they didn't put in to program. I mean, I've run into people with situations like that. Can you explain to us a little bit about, you know, your referral system or how you handle those type of cases for Medicare? You know, how do they get help? Because they fall into a certain situation in where they don't have enough money to be able to live and to afford caregiving or home caregiving. And these are people that live alone, or you know, people that need assistance in terms of, you know, somebody staying home to take care of them, and they need some form of financial help or you know, things of that nature.
Okay, well, Medicare and Medicaid are two different programs, just so people understand. Sometimes they confuse it. Eligibility for Medicare, you're 65, or you have been collecting Social Security for over 24 months, or you have end-stage renal disease. Those are the qualifications. First, a lot of people, as you mentioned, they are in Medicaid, they're over 65, they did not work the 40 quarters, and they assume that they don't qualify for Medicare. Just because you did not work the 40 quarters does not mean that you don't qualify for Medicare. Usually what it means is this. Usually Part A, Medicare Part A, it's free if you work the 40 quarters. If you did not work the 40 quarters, then you will have to pay. So there's a $437 if you only work between 1 and 29 months, 29 quarters, and then there's a 240 something, I don't have the exact figure with me, if you work between 30 and 40 quarters. So that's the thing people misunderstand. You are eligible for Medicare is that Part A is not going to be free. You will have to pay a premium for that. And a lot of people who are on Medicaid, they cannot afford the $400 or the $200 in premiums, because besides that Part A premium, Part B has another separate premium of $135. The state of Connecticut has a program that last year we went into this whole media about the legislature wanting to cut on the eligibility guidelines, but however, we were able to win that battle, and we still have the program. So that program will specifically help those individuals enrolling in Medicare. And for those who don't have Medicaid because they're over the income guidelines, once you get Medicare, the income guidelines are very lower than regular Medicaid. So for a person, a single person who is on Medicare, who is disabled, and who's over 65, they can only make up to $860 to be full Medicaid, versus a person who is under 65 and it's not disabled, they can make up to $1,300 a month to get on Medicaid. So there's a big difference there. For those individuals who don't qualify for Medicaid, the Medicare Savings Program helps them. The Medicare Savings Program has a higher eligibility. You can make up to $3,000 per month and still qualify for the program as a couple. And there's about $2,500, $2,500 or $2,600 as a single person that you can still qualify. That program will pay the Part B premium, and it will give you the low-income subsidy for medication. So at least you're going to be saving a lot of money there. There's one category of the program, which is the QMB. For a single person, you cannot make more than $2,135, and for a couple, it's $3,400 and something. I don't have the exact figures with me. That category will also act as a supplemental plan. So Medicare only pays for 80%. You're responsible for paying the remaining 20%. So if you don't have Medicaid, unfortunately, that's going to be a lot of money, because a doctor's visit, 20% of a doctor's visit, it might be like $100 or $200. It depends on the services that you get. So that program will help you, and it will act as a supplemental. So right there, you can be saving. But as I said, it's not Medicaid, so it's a different program. People should know that
that's
when
the key.
they're
That's the key, is like people should know, but
the
people
difference.
don't know.
I do.
You know, so you get out there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off like that, but you know, you're out there on the street and talking to people in the community, and there's such disinformation, and I'm thinking, okay, so how can we, you know, aside from a show like this, where we bring, you know, the experts in to talk about these programs. How else can we educate, our community so that they do know, so that they're savvy and they know exactly. And, we're not only talking about the senior community, but family in general, right? Because their turn is coming.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we are trying to do our best to promote the agency and to promote the program. Our agency and the other agencies out there within the state, they do their best. Our state representatives also do their best to promote the Choices program. I think we appreciate you having us here, because this is a means that we can tell people that we're out there, and we can explain to you those little details that you should know, but unfortunately you don't. And I think that's where the population there gets mistaken, because they should know. A lot of people should be capable of explaining certain things, but they don't have the knowledge to. Sometimes a consumer who's on Medicare go to the Department of Social Services, for example. DSS workers are eligibility workers. They're not information specialists. So sometimes, they do have certain knowledge, but they don't have the full knowledge of Medicare. They don't understand how Medicare works with Medicaid. So sometimes they do refer them to Choices. Sometimes, the consumer gets overwhelmed because they should know this. Unfortunately, just because you think you should know doesn't mean that you might have the ability to know all that information. So I think that our agencies are a great example of where you can get all the education that you need for your health insurance options, and even more, because as you mentioned, a lot of people who are transitioning don't qualify for Medicaid. They need in-home services. Our agency provides some type of in-home services. The state of Connecticut does provide some other type of services, but you need to get the education on how those programs work, how the eligibility for those programs are in fact, if you will get the benefits or not. So I think that if people contact us and we can, as many awareness and as much promotion we can do, I think it will be great. We also have a lot of Choices volunteers, what we call volunteers in the community.
I was gonna ask you about that, because I was doing a little bit of research, and I ran across this new volunteer trainings for Choices. And tell us a little bit about that with the volunteers, because that's really interesting.
Okay, so we call them volunteers because we have two different volunteers. The in-kind, which are mainly professionals that work in the social work in industry and partner organizations that work with elderly and Medicare, and they want to be part of our knowledge, and they want to spread the word and to assist individuals. So those in-kinds, they do a part of their work. And then we also have true volunteers, which are people who mainly are retired and they want to give back to the community. They want to give back and they work with us. So there's a training that people have to take. So we have a new volunteer training coming up in June. We do have spots available. So it's going to be 4 full days in June, and then 1 half day in May as the orientation. People contact us, we screen them, and then if we find that the person will be a good match for one of the 5 roles that we have, because we have different roles. We have counselors, we have outreach, we have presenters, we have data entry. So any other role that you want to take, you can take it with us. It doesn't have to be specifically to do counseling with a consumer. You can just go out there and do some outreach, and that will be great. So if anybody wants to apply, there's an application and we will save you a spot. So we train them with the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So they're the ones that come in. So you're gonna be provided with credible training. So it's not that we just give you a presentation. We provide the full training, so you can have knowledge from the people that actually works with Medicare and creating certain laws.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have a lot of them. And they're spread wise within our region. There's a lot of senior centers and community organizations, agencies. So if somebody's interested, they can contact our agency.
How long has the agency been around?
Oh, the agency has been around for numerous years. I think We just had like our 40th anniversary, 40.
So close to 40 years or more than 40 years?
I think it's more than 40 years. I'm not quite sure. I just started with the agency a couple of years ago. But the agency, it's been a while. Our program also has been a while. However, it wasn't called Choices. It was called other programs.
Oh, okay.
Our program Choices is a national program, and it's actually called the SHIP, State Health Insurance Program. However, the state of Connecticut named it Choices. Other states, they have their own names for the program. But our agency has been a while, and as you know, since we're a nonprofit, you know, it's based on the contracts that we get, and you know, we have offered numerous programs within our agency. So the caregiver program started a couple years ago. It wasn't there since the agency started. We have chronic disease self-management program also that, you know, has been incorporated in the past couple of years. We create programs based on you know, the funding that we get, so we can assist. We have a new program now that it's working with the VA. So we have a new person that comes and coordinates with VAs and a little bit of case management and meals and things like that. So our agency keeps incorporating little by little. You know, some programs go, but some new programs come in.
So as an eventuality, are you going to be able to work with the VA directly then? Is that where this is going in terms of taking care of those seniors that are veterans?
Well, we do have certain programs. I don't have the full information because it's a fairly new program.
Oh, we have to have you come back and talk to us about that?
Absolutely, we can do that. It's a fairly new program, but we work with a lot of agencies. Our agency, we also have what we call Title III. People can go into our website and they can find a publication on Title III of other things that we provide. We provide Meals on Wheels. We provide funding for transportation. So there's a lot of other things that we also provide outside of our agency that's being funded through us. So that can be found in our website. It's called Title III. So we provide a lot of programs. We do have communication with the VA and we work with them for particular programs, but I'm not sure until what extent that will be. I can definitely find out, and when we come back, we can.
That's something that you know was pretty interesting to me. You know, so you know, your office, how many employees do you have at your office?
Right now we have about, let me see, about 20 something.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you handle that type of caseload. I mean,
well, based on the department.
That's gotta be huge.
Yes, each department has their own caseload, and it's really, I can talk for Choices, which I am in charge of. We get over 50 calls a day. So we have to return a lot of phone calls, and a lot of those phone calls are not a 5-minute phone call. Sometimes we spend half a day, even we have spent an entire day just assisting one consumer with their issue, because we not only provide the information, but we're also advocates. So if we have to advocate for you with your insurance company, with the state of Connecticut, with Social Security, we will do that for you also. And that takes time. So, you know, we encourage people to call us, but also have in mind that we're a nonprofit. Each department has about 2-3 staff members. And, you know, we try to do as much as we can to assist individuals, but sometimes we get phone calls that are more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, and I hear you. And you say 50, let's say 50 calls a day. And those are not like repeat clients that are calling back because they're following up. These are new clients.
Mainly they're new consumers who are calling with an issue. Yes. We right now at this time is not our busiest season. That will be October, the open enrollment. In that season right there, we sometimes get over 100 calls a day.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I know that the senior population is going to grow, you know, tremendously in the next, you know, 10 years or so, right? 10 to 20 years. So how do you, I mean, being nonprofit, it's not an easy chore. You know, I'm thinking it's saying, hey, how do you keep up with the volume? You need to get more assistance, more help. And I'm sure you guys are advocating the state. Maybe we should have the state come in, sit down here in the hot seat, and tell us how they're going to help our senior community in that regard. I can say it. You can't. You don't have to agree with me. I don't want to put you on the spot and say, hey, we're going to get the governor to sit in the seat here and tell us what they're planning on doing for our senior community, especially when it's growing and the numbers are pretty staggering. You know, with the baby boomers coming. You know.
Yes,
So,
I just think that as much people can advocate for the program when there's budget cuts or when it's that time of the year that the legislative are deciding whether to give us funding or not, I think that as many people can grab the phone and call, because you as a constituent, you have the right to contact your legislator and tell them, hey, I think this is good. I think we should advocate for this, and you know, I want to add myself as the people that are in favor of it. I think that's a great idea.
We shouldn't play, you know, with what is considered to be the diamonds in our society, because people tend to neglect the senior community. And you know, we're going to touch on that neglect on one of our other shows, because it's astounding to me that, you know, for instance, in elder abuse, you know, we're 20 years behind what is child abuse legislation and what is, you know, domestic violence legislation. For seniors, it's 20 years behind the time. And that to me is very, very troubling, because they're an important part of our community. People don't see it that way. Me, I see it differently, because I had the opportunity to sit with my mother well, you know, and talking to her and, you know, getting to know her again. You know what I mean? And you kind of like realize what you missed out on, you know, trying to get the heck out of the house. You know, you couldn't wait to be 18 and leave. Now you want to come back. But I'm just saying, you know, you sit down and you really realize that they have a lot of knowledge, a lot of, you know, history that they can pass on to one, you know. So that's super important. Now, this chronic disease self-management program you guys are running, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that program, it's a little about, they teach you on a base of seminars. We have volunteers also that teach individuals on how to take care of themselves, how to better assist themselves with chronic disease so they don't end up in the hospital quicker and things like that. We have a specific person that works with that department. So pretty much the program consists on teaching individuals how to take care of themselves on their chronic disease, which I think is pretty great in the elderly population, because as you know, once you learn how to take care of your chronic disease and how to take care of yourself, you can avoid definitely to be hospitalized, you know, quicker than if you didn't actually take care of yourself well.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. And the Senior Medical Patrol, are you guys putting on uniforms or something? Are you going out there with a billy club?
No. Senior Medical Patrol, we don't. It will be fun, I guess. But no, that program is specifically for Medicare fraud and abuse. So
excellent.
So that's why they're called Senior Medical Patrol, because they're the ones that educate people on healthcare fraud, on Medicare fraud and abuse. They also have volunteers on teaching people how to promote what things are fraud, what don't, and how to read you know, Medicare beneficiary notices to see if you know, there was a charge that should not be there, and to distinguish between what was a mistake compared to what is an actual fraud. So that's what the program's specifically about.
Someone had spoken to me about an organization called the Triads, where you have business people, seniors, and police department working together as a team and informing the community, keeping them, you know, abreast. I don't know what the state of that organization is today, but something worth, I guess, following up on and see if we could bring those people to the chair and speak to them about that as well.
I think that would be great. I think that the more communities and partner organizations get together to educate and to take care of our senior population, I think that will definitely improve our senior population quality of life.
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing
Why?
it?
What do the passion? Where does that come from?
I think it's innate. I don't. To be honest, I started with the agency as a volunteer. I will admit I had some other visions for myself. I always wanted to be a social worker for the DCF department because some life experiences. However, as I started working with the agency, I learned that I like it very much. I like being able to be the person who explains to you how certain things work. I appreciate the fact I have consumers who come in and they're so grateful. Sometimes they bring me flowers, sometimes they bring me fruit baskets.
Wow.
But they're very grateful. I think that once I continued to do the job and I was able to see the results that we were providing, like we have been able to save people. At one point, there was when I started with the agency, there was this one person who had been disabled for many years and got retroactive benefits over almost $10,000 for benefits that they should have gotten because they were getting, for example, the Medicare savings program. The state was paying their Part B premium, but for many years, the Social Security was still deducting it out of their checks, so they were getting double paid.
Right.
So when we were able to fix that, that person got about almost $10,000 back. And that right there at the beginning was like my wow moment. Like, oh my God, we definitely do a difference.
Urania, it's been a pleasure having you here on the show today. You brought a lot of really great information about your agency. I'm really happy that the agency is doing the work that it's doing. Keep up the good work. We would love to have you come back and give us more information on that program with the Veterans Association and whatever else you guys feel that the community should know or learn about. By all means, give us a call. Let us know that you want to come through with some good information, and we're happy to have you. Now, let me ask you, how do they reach you? I know you're getting 50 calls a day already. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll be getting 52 after this one airs, a day. But I think that's what the purpose is, that people learn what's going on out in the community. How can they reach your organization?
People can contact us through phone. Through the phone number, our main phone number is 860-724-6443. Again, it's 860-724-6443. And they can also contact us through our website, www.ncaaact.org, www.ncaaact.org. Those are our main two contact points for individuals.
Excellent. So thank you so much for coming
Thank
by.
you for
It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun.
Likewise.
And with that, thank you for watching. Your host, William Mendoza, The Golden Years, Understanding Better Living, and we're going to have some more great programs for you, so please stay tuned.